Welcome, friends. Today, we are doing a State of the Collection address. Intriguing. That is right, my friends. Once again, I have returned to you, this time, with a State of the Collection address. Interesting. So, I have addressed many of the things that I am going to address in this video before, but in live streams and in a disparate manner. In this video, I will be collating these thoughts, philosophies, and goals into this video. I've even written notes. I never write notes. I usually just say things that come into my mind, for better or for worse. So, in this video, I kind of wanted to explain what I've been up to with the collection in the past year, how it's changed, why it's changed, and what has changed, you know? The where and the who are still me, and I'm still here. So, fear not. The how, the what, and the why, I will try and expand upon. So, let me start. In the last year or so, I have been selling off a lot of perfumes. A lot. I had around 450 bottles of separate perfumes, not including backups. Over the last year, going into last year, 2023, it was my stated aim that I wanted to sell off about 25%. I wanted to get down closer to 300. And I can tell you, my friends, that is as near as makes no difference what I have done. I think I'm down around 310. So I'd have been happy with that if you'd offered me that this time last year. The selling has not been random. I haven't been selling off the most expensive things. I'm not doing it because I need money, but that is just a nice bonus. All the money I have recouped. Yeah, mainly recouped. I've lost some money on some perfumes and I've made a little bit of money on some perfumes. All in all, I've kind of just got my money back, you know. There's been no egregious gouging of prices at all. You can ask people who have bought off me. There's been no massive undercutting either, because I know what my perfumes are worth. So I've kind of just been hoping to get as much money back as I possibly could, you know. And the reason I have sold the perfumes that I did was twofold. So the first is I kind of felt like the collection was getting to the point where I was not wearing the things I loved as much as I wanted to. And I was unhappy about that. I felt like I had, how can I put it? I felt like I had to wear a wide diaspora of perfumes. I had to wear the stuff that I hadn't worn in a long time, you know. I would look at perfumes and I would feel bad. I would feel guilty. Excuse me whilst I hydrate. And that is not a good reason for wearing a perfume. For anybody. You don't wear things because you feel bad that you haven't been wearing them. You should wear perfumes because you like the way that they smell. And I realised that over the previous years, I had been accreting a vast quantity of perfumes based on unsound motives. They weren't wrong, but I have now got a more crystallised and clear picture of what I want from my collection. I was buying perfumes because I heard that they were good, because I could infer that they were good, because I saw a few notes and I thought, it's from the 1980s, it's got lavender and patchouli in it, or oak moss, or vetiver. It's made by Karl Lagerfeld, it's made by Chanel, it's made by Dior. So I'm kind of putting these things together, and in my head I'm saying, well, that is like a recipe for a good perfume. It is, but am I going to love it? And the answer is not necessarily. Not necessarily at all. You know? There is no other way to find out if you love something than to try it yourself. You can be guided towards something so that you can try it, but you cannot be told to love it. You can't infer that you love it. You can't guess. You have to find out for yourself. And that is something that I have realised through trial and error, or found out the hard way, which is the story of my life, through my fragrance collection. Not only is this what I think a more sound way of doing it, but I think it's more fundamental. I think you could apply that to almost anything. You know, not just collecting perfumes, but activities in your life or people. You know, you've got to speak as you find. You've got to find things out for yourself, and you can take advice, and you can take hints, and you can take guidance. But at the end of the day, you must do these things for yourself. You are responsible for yourself and your own actions. And that's something we all need to remember, because we can all lose sight of that. That would bring me on to the nature of how I was buying. Prior to last year, I'd had a kind of revelation when I bought my Girl on Derby. I thought, how much better can it possibly get than this? And if you go back and watch that video, you will hear that I'd kind of reached a peak in my collecting. And I felt like everything else from there was basically downhill. I don't necessarily think that ever since then it has been downhill, but it certainly hasn't supplanted. It hasn't got any better. You know what I mean? I bought a massive bottle of one of the best perfumes made, in my opinion, and it was in perfect condition, and I was absolutely delighted. And I realised that I had been buying a lot of perfumes to reach that point. I realised I'd been buying perfumes for some of the wrong reasons. Not always, but sometimes, and more often than I would have liked. You can call that addiction. Buying addiction. I wouldn't call it fragrance addiction. We call it fragrance addiction because our buying addiction is geared towards fragrances, which are extremely stimulating. in lots of different ways. You've got the bottle, you've got the smell, you've got the community. You know, there's kudos for having certain things. You can have people say, wow, that's great, you're brilliant. Or you can have people say, wow, you're terrible. And as long as the people you look up to say you're great, you're just going to keep going harder and harder. I would say it's more buying addiction. If you are not careful after collecting for a while anything, but in this case perfume, you are going to find yourself buying to try and get the next hit. I think I was at that point in a couple of years ago, and it slowly kind of dawned on us, and other people, and people would say things to you like, are you buying a lot of stuff? Like, you're buying really good stuff, but are you buying too much? What's going on? Is everything okay? And if you've got any sense, you'll listen to those voices. You don't necessarily have to heed it straight away, but you do need to ask yourself, why am I buying all of this shit? And I don't mean like bad stuff as in shit. I mean just stuff. I've exchanged the word shit for stuff there, and I shouldn't have. Why are you buying all this stuff? In this instance, I still love my perfumes, and I love my collection probably more now than I did this time last year before I sold like 25% of it, because I've cast off a lot of stuff that was just sitting there haunting me, not being worn. And I've got money back for it, which I've been able to reinvest into some more expensive perfumes. Or some different perfumes, not always more expensive, but some rarer stuff, which tends to be more expensive. I can say that I haven't invested any new money in the last year. It's all been all the money I've spent in the last year has been generated through selling perfume. So one of my stated aims this time last year, if you'd been paying attention, was that I wished to shrink the collection and make it better at the same time. I believe I have done that. It's an ongoing process, and it will continue. In the last week, I have sold another 8 perfumes, including Pure Coffee, Pure Leather, Pure Malt, and 2 bottles of Amen. And you might be thinking, why did you sell those? I will tell you why. Because I wasn't wearing them, and I wasn't thinking about wearing them. And I wore Pure Coffee earlier this week before I sold them, and I thought to myself, I'm wearing this and I'm not getting anything from it that makes me think I want to wear this again. I love Amen, and I've still got a lot of Amens. So I only sold a couple of backups. I've still got Pure Tonka, which I love. I've still got Pure Taste of Fragrance, which I love. And I've got Pure Wood. Not sure how I feel about Pure Wood. I'll have to come back to that and see. So I haven't just chucked it out with like baby in the bathwater, but you know, we'll have to see in future. I've sold a lot of miscellaneous perfumes that I've hardly ever mentioned on the channel. I haven't kept a log of all the stuff I've sold, which is silly because it would come in really handy right now. But there'll be a lot of stuff here before you. No, there will be a lot of stuff missing before you that there wasn't last year, that would have been here last year. I can still say the statement that I have never sold a perfume and missed it, and it still be true. I still think it's true. I have never thought about a perfume I have sold ever again after I've sold it. That, to me, speaks that I have made the right decisions in what to sell. So I'm pretty happy on that score that I have shrank the collection and made it better in the process by selectively purchasing things that I have sampled in the main and decided I gotta have it. So as far as buying and selling, and the purchases, the top 10 purchases of 2023 is a separate video and it will come. But know that I have zoned in and got the metrics for which to buy perfumes by absolutely dialed in. I am more than happy with my process now, whereas before it was a bit of a shotgun approach. And don't get us wrong, there's a lot of perfumes you see before you and in the autumn and in the spring summer collection which were acquired during a shotgun period, which I absolutely love, you know. But there were probably more that I didn't, and I've let those go, most of those go. It's getting very, very, very hard for me to pick out which fragrances to sell now, which is a position I wanted to get in. So, that is probably my philosophy towards collecting, buying, selling, what to buy, what to sell, and why. I've also covered the change, why I've changed, having too many bottles, not wearing the stuff I love, buying to feel good. Can you make me feel good? Being unsatisfied with the collection. I'm a lot more satisfied with the collection as it stands. I'm not finished. I'll still buy stuff. In fact, I bought a couple of perfumes the other day. I'm just waiting on them because it was a contact from the Middle East who has managed to source me a couple of bottles. And thank you very much for that. Let me now turn to my goals. My goals for the collection remain the same. I still want to make it a bit smaller and acquire only the perfumes which impress me hugely. This is not easy if you've been following my first impressions series. Series? I don't know what the plural of series is. So that's my goal for that. That I'm only going to buy stuff that I have sampled, I enjoy, and I want to add. I'm not going to be blind buying madnesses and things of that nature unless something absolutely outrageous pops up that I've never smelled. I mean, even then, I'm saying that, you know, I'm making excuses. I don't think I will, even if that situation does make itself apparent, you know. My goal is to keep on top of this and stay on this road, stay on this path, which I have embarked upon. It's one of the things they say, to be successful, have a plan and stick to it. Have a good plan and stick to it, I would say. Don't have a shit plan and stick to it, for God's sake. There's no worse than having a fucking shit plan. How I will decide what to sell will always stay the same if I'm not wearing it, if I don't enjoy it as much. I'll try it a few times. I'll keep trying it before I make the decision to actually get rid of it. And at the minute, I've got a couple of perfumes that I've just put up for sale again. And if they sell, that will make it 11 already this year that I'll have sold. Sold a lot of perfumes and I'm pretty chuffed about it. The collection feels more manageable. Doesn't feel as bloated. And I'm getting to wear stuff that I love a lot more often. Why collect? For me, what I get out of collecting is something about smell which is something I've always enjoyed and I've always been compelled by. I've had a collection of perfumes since I was a young teenager. I've always enjoyed different smells, so not smelling the same, that kind of go with my mood. It's like saying something without speaking. It's always been about me, which sounds like a terribly selfish thing to say. But in this instance, I've got to be honest, it's true. The collection is not for compliments. It's not to impress other people. Yes, I do believe that you should try and operate within the confines of the context of the day. Don't be wearing fucking leather oud when you're going to fucking hospital, you know. Don't be wearing stuff so out of context of the situation. You're going into an office and you're wearing something offensively rank. You know, I wouldn't wear the night into the office because other people I just don't want to be that much of a dick. You know what I mean? I don't need to wear leather oud to offend people. I can do that perfectly well without the thing of a smell. So I enjoy the challenge of waking up in the morning, seeing what I feel like, and finding a fragrance to fit that. You know, I enjoy the art of it, and I do think constructing them is an art. It's very sciencey as well. But I do think it's not. So I appreciate that about it. It's an individual thing and it's a form of expression. It's a talking point. Almost everybody has a fragrance or is into fragrances a bit, but you can talk to even normal people about perfumes and stuff. I say normal people, like people who don't collect perfumes. So if you tell them, I collect vintage colognes, people are like, ooh, that's interesting, you know. And you can show them, and like a lot of people will be interested, you know, or at least they'll feign interest, even if they're not. Most people, anyway. The community, and I don't mean the community at large. I mean the community on my channel. I love the community on my channel. I love the people who stop by, old and new. Since I became unwell and started the YouTube channel, I'd been in the community before that. I'd been watching and observing the fragrance community for years. As soon as I found out about it, and then for years I didn't say anything. I just watched and learned, and then I started commenting, and then I went onto Eugene's streams, and then I started my own channel when I was really unwell. And I just started treatment, and it's been amazing. It gives me something to look forward to. It gives me a feeling of purpose. It gives me a feeling of interaction, community. It can't be underestimated. The sense of community, the joining of people with a like-minded interest in things. It's a thing about humans. It just is. You know, it just is. There is a point to me, or there is a part of me which doesn't want to think about where I'd be without this. I think I'd be somewhere else doing something else, like as far as collecting things is concerned. But I'm glad it's fragrances, and I'm glad I've met the people I have, and I talk to the people I have. Lifelong friends I feel I've made. And laughs and anger and all the human things. It's fantastic. And I'm grateful for the internet as well, because, like I say, even 20, 30 years ago, this just wouldn't be possible. As far as the channel's concerned, what do I want the channel to be? The channel grew over the last year, which is good. It's not a big channel YouTube-wise, and I'm all right with that. I do not want to have one of these channels with 50,000, 100,000, 400,000 subscribers who gets like 400 or 500 views a video. I would rather have a small, tight-knit community of people who know and respect and interact with each other, and bring value rather than volume. You know? Not interested in having... I try, and I believe I have responded to nearly every comment left on my channel. I could not hack it. I wouldn't be able to do that if I had 300 comments on every video. if I had like 20,000 people and had like 300, 400 comments on every video, and I couldn't do it. It's not normal. I've got to know the people who hang around, and it's brilliant, and I love it. I'm getting to know everybody's personalities, even if they just comment. I talk to people through the channel who I've met in other ways, you know what I mean? So everything's awesome. I'm really happy as far as the channel's concerned. The actual collection itself is around 300 bottles now. 300 separate perfumes, excluding backup bottles. I may be selling off some backup bottles, depending on what they are, you know. I will not be adding any vast quantities of perfume at all in the coming months. Over the course of the year, it will grow slowly, or it will shrink slowly. There won't be any knee-jerk evolution, not revolution. Evolution, not revolution, to get it to sound right. And to just keep the process going. Try and get closer and closer to the perfumes that I love. I will still keep sampling wide, hard. I will sample hard and I will sample wide. And I will try as much stuff as I possibly can, buying sample sets and then setting them free into the community for other people to try. It is great for me that I really enjoy it. And I hope you will too. This has been my State of the Collection address for 2024, my friends. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon.